Okay, and we are back here at 7:07 a.m., and as promised, in the studio with us this morning is the Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Jeff Griffith.
Hey.
Is it Mayor Pro Tem Councilman or just Mayor Pro Tem?
You know, that's a good question. I get called a lot of things, Mr. King, but I serve as the Mayor Pro Tem, which is the vice backup mayor, you might say.
You're from the city.
I'm from the city.
And you're
that's
here.
Right.
And last night was the city council meeting, and you were there.
I was there in attendance pretty much all day, yeah.
So you were talking about the coffee at the city council. I don't know what they have there, but you need to tell them to get Daybreak. Daybreak's local.
That's a great point.
You say, this is Lubbock, and we need to do local.
I don't know. Maybe the city manager's listening, but I tease him a lot about the coffee.
Yeah.
And maybe he's listening this morning, and we'll get a good hint.
Yeah.
Make sure buy local.
Kick him
correct.
a little bit.
Buy local, Mr. Martin.
That's
yes.
right, buy local.
Absolutely.
Especially when it's good.
So what was the big news coming out of the city council meeting last night?
I think the main thing that happened, Dave, was that we confirmed the city manager's new appointment as the 10th fire chief for the city of Lubbock, which is Sean Fogerson, who has been the assistant chief of our fire and rescue department and been with fire and rescue since the 90s. He's a Lubbock guy. Monterey High School grad. I'll brag on that. Texas Tech graduate with honors. Got to brag on that. Ex-Marine. Got to brag on that. But a great leader, great man, very honorable man, and a Lubbock guy.
Certainly sounds like he's qualified. He's got the experience and the education.
Absolutely.
Got that down.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. And has been awarded he's the guy is his resume sheet's fantastic. But the neat thing is he's a great leader. I believe that the Fire Association was very pleased also. A lot of them were in attendance last night.
Yeah. Well, that's good news. We get that little issue resolved. What about how's the tower coming along? Did you go and make a tour of it?
I have. It's been maybe 60 days. But obviously now you're seeing a whole lot more external, but the internal work, a lot of the sheetrock is going up in the lower 5 floors, you might say.
So they've got it dried in.
Mm-hmm. Lee Lewis told me recently that we're real close to finishing with the elevators, which is kind of the major component.
Sure.
To topping it off, but I think we're very close on the elevator component.
So we're looking at, I think, this fall?
Yeah, I would say
maybe October or so?
Yeah, November. Let's say November, December. But that is really the time frame before the end of the year. We don't have an exact as far as that goes, but with the weather cooperating, and it's going well, and we are. I will brag, under budget to this point, and on time. So
that's good news.
That's the good news. But there's still a lot to do, as you can tell. But you can start to see it take shape, which we're very proud of.
So the parking garage across the street, I think, has been demolished.
It's gone.
Yes, it's
gone. Huh? So are you going to build another parking garage
Well,
there?
there's thought of maybe a possibility, because now that we're having police administration building on the block, y'all, let me make sure I'm telling everybody right so everybody understands. Where the parking garage is due south of the tower.
Right.
So the next block south is now also an entire block that will become the police administration building. Now, remember, as we're doing, that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle. That's really in a separate item as far as city budget, as far as plan, because we want to build the substations first. Yeah. We've got to the substation. That's another thing that happened last night. Is we finalized the zoning and on the east substation, which will be at MLK and East 19th. Okay, overlooking historic Dunbar Lake.
Right.
It's city-owned land, but we still had to zone it properly. So we did that last night. But we want to build these substations first because right now PD's all in one building downtown. And so you really have to build the substations first.
So do we have any idea when the groundbreaking is going to be on that first substation there in northeast Lubbock?
Matt, that's a great question. I'm going to say, again, this is a tentative date, but I would say probably August 1st.
Okay. So that's not very far away.
Yeah.
So we're going to get going pretty quick.
Right. And it'll be the same. It's pretty much the same building on all three substations. Right. So you're not going to end up with a bunch of different architecture. You're going to have, I wouldn't say it's not cookie cutter, but close.
No reinventing the wheel.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as far as and I know that this isn't necessarily your job, but it is, you will have to approve it, the job of the chief of police. Have we gotten any movement on that?
That is, thank you for bringing that up, because that's Mr. Atkinson, the city manager's next big hire is the new chief of police.
Right.
Since Greg Stevens is retiring. That
so
is
when
a process that I think Chief Stevens goes till possibly into the end of this month.
Okay.
We have an event scheduled for him, a retirement event, but I believe that search, and it will be a nationwide search, but because you're going to get a lot of candidates, in my opinion, for this job because of not just great police force to work for, great city to work for, plus the fact that we're putting in the substations, and part of that is a new crime lab and property warehouse. So the infrastructure will be in place for whoever gets that job will be very blessed with.
So we talked to the sheriff about that, and he's had a very good relationship with Chief Stevens, and his big thing was he just wants somebody that wants to work with the sheriffs, not a guy who walks in and says that we're the big guys on campus or something, but everybody wants to work together. And I mean, I have a hard time seeing them not doing that, but do you think pulling someone up the same way you did as the fire chief would be something that would help with that, or can you see that happening?
It's a good question. I'm sure there'll be internal candidates. We've got very good administration already, but as far as working with the sheriff, very important. Sheriff Rowe does a great job, and I was involved with him early on when he and Chief Stevens created but the governor gave us money, I think $1.1 million, one of 6 Texas cities that got that money for a anti-gang unit that's worked incredibly well. I'm very thankful for Sheriff Rowe and Chief Stevens and the other law enforcement agencies, because that has been a great tool to getting everybody working together, to your point.
Okay, let's take a break. It's 7:16 a.m. here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. And in the studio, of course, with us is Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith, talking about the goings-on at the city of Lubbock. Back with more in a moment. And we are back here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. And in our studio this morning is Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith. We were talking about the new the city council last night confirmed our new fire chief, and one of the things I wanted to ask you is about the ME. I guess the ME situation is a county deal, is it not? Or
that it is totally the county.
So that's something that the city will not address, or?
Right? We have no involvement.
So,
but you have thoughts about it.
Well, from the aspect of, is the city using the ME right now? With the problems that's going on there, has the city backed off from using the ME?
Wow, I do not know.
Okay,
and I apologize. I have not studied that subject. I know
that's an issue that just hasn't come up, huh?
But it has not come up. I do
it's
not.
Done
know.
more administrative level
because the county hires the ME and it oversees the ME
yes,
department.
Totally.
Medical examiner.
Yes, and I don't know that if that's a component of also the county being also a hospital district. There may be a component there that's part of that.
Well,
I don't
and
know.
the county jail and the county runs the jail
and the judicial system, and but Sheriff Rowe's done a great job, and he's worked very well with. I mean, that's been a neat thing to see blossom, is how the City of Lubbock Police Department and the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office integrate.
You know,
They really do.
it's kind of historical that there's a lot of tension between jurisdictions in cities.
Yeah.
And we would talk to Sheriff Rowe about that one time when he was on the show. And he said, Matt, remind me, but he said that the DPS, the FBI, the sheriff, the LPD all got together, and I think some others, maybe the Border Patrol, they all got together like once a month and had a dinner together and talked to one another.
Yeah, I've seen him at breakfast, and
they work together. He says they work together hand in glove very well.
And that
step on
starts
one another's
at the
jurisdictions.
top. I'll give those guys credit. That all starts at the top
You bet.
to working together, and it makes a big difference considering crime has no address.
Well, and then on top of that, you've got a lot of movement back and forth between the two. You also have, people who live in the county in certain areas in Lubbock are still part of the city as far as, they're connected to the city.
Absolutely.
And so, there's just a lot of movement back and forth, but whose jurisdiction it is, if they start, getting huffy about that, the criminals are going to win. So,
Good point. Yeah.
anyway. Other thing, y'all have a new Brahms location was apparently zoned or last night, and I think they said they're going to have to look and make sure the building is structurally sound next. But as far as that's concerned, it's already done the second reading. We're going to get a Brahms location, it sounds like.
Yes. By the way, can you ever have enough ice cream locations in the city?
Well, and
I ask you,
the
gentlemen.
thing about Brahms,
is
doesn't Brahms have hamburgers too? You
I
get
think they've
hamburgers
got it all.
hamburgers and ice cream.
Isn't it Bluebell? Their slogan is "We eat all we can and sell the rest."
that's good advertising.
Yeah,
slogan,
man,
Mr. King.
you can't get enough ice cream.
But that's off 82nd University, and that corridor has really grown up. And as you continue south on University, you're it's amazing what's happened.
I'm telling you, man, the city's growing faster than I can keep up with it.
Yeah.
Every time that I go to a different part of town, I say, "Man, I didn't know this was here." It's just amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm sure that as the city, they have to keep up with it because infrastructure is important.
That's part of the reason we did the Plan 2040.
Yeah.
And last night we approved something that I'd like to bring up. Is we approved about $266,000, I believe is the number, for study of impact fees. And what impact fees are, y'all, and other cities do this, is it is sharing of cost, the city and brand new developments. It has nothing to do with 82nd outside the studio here. It has to do with new developments coming online and how the city pays with the developer and is a shared cost on those infrastructure as these new developments come online. And so
what would they give the city some say in how it's built? Or
absolutely.
Okay.
And this was actually in the 80s, the state of Texas legislature took this up in recommendation from the Home Builders Association to make sure there was regulation in place so that cities didn't charge developers too much and that there was a shared cost plan. There's different cities do it different ways, and we're just starting down this track.
So,
but
Lubbock,
developers
are in charge of building everything in Lubbock, and then Lubbock comes in and takes over that area. Is kind of how they do it right now, right?
Well, the developer still it's a shared cost, but this way it'll be we feel like a better plan going forward.
Okay, we got about 30 seconds or so, 20 seconds till our break here at 7:29. This is KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We are broadcasting from the Thacker Jewelry Studio. Engagement rings, custom jewelry, and more at thackerjewelry.com. Back with more of the Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, after this. And we are back here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. 7:37 a.m. and we're back here in the studio with this morning with Jeff Griffith, I should say Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith, and talking about the goings-on at the city of Lubbock. Of course, last night was a city council meeting, and I guess a lot of things happened there, huh, Jeff?
We graduated the Lubbock 101 class, and what that is a citizen class of goings-on the city of Lubbock. And our city manager, Jared Atkinson, started this last year. This wasn't something the council started. I have to give him kudos on this because it's about people that want to learn about workings on what a city does. And so you go to classes every I think there's 7 or 8 classes on weekends, and you or in the evenings, and the fire department, the police department, the water department, you get in front of them, you go on tours, and you understand what it actually means to take water from that is really what I would say, or not just raw water source, but get to the purified point where it comes out of your faucet.
I mean, come on. We've all been on Lake Allen Henry. It's dirty.
You've caught fish out there, haven't you?
I'm just saying. Well, you can say it. You don't have to. It's not
beat around the bush.
Nasty water. It's just dirty water.
Well,
it needs cleaned.
Well, you know something. I got to say, I have always wondered what the process is, because I see some of these sources that we take water to and make drinking water out of it, and I just wonder what is it? How do you ever get it clean? You filter it, and of course
that's
you chlorinate it. I know to kill the microscopic bugs.
And you have to, hate to bring up a negative here, but let's be honest. Situations like Flint, Michigan, was a horrible thing, and the water cost us a lot. We've talked about that on your show before, but the ultimate deal, treating water, having that water source, and the Canyon Lakes is now a big part of what we do, because that water, once it goes through the Canyon Lake system, it's stream quality water, can be used to irrigate parks. It can be used to irrigate Meadowbrook Golf Course, and the savings is there.
Well, now, Jeff, that water winds up at Buffalo Lakes, does it not?
Believe it or not, it does not. That's a great point. Some of it does, but the North Fork of the Brazos actually ends up at Possum Kingdom, Dave.
Really?
Yeah. So the South Fork, yes, goes.
Well, would it be legal for us to use that water?
Well, eventually there's a long-term plan. In our newest water plan, that is an option, is to take that water and capture it in a future Lake 7, which would be on the tail end, the southeast end of the Canyon Lake system.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility that would happen way down the road. We don't need that today.
Well, what is feeding that Buffalo Lakes Ransom Canyon? Where does that water go?
That was back in the 60s.
Another fork of the Brazos?
There's South Fork.
Okay.
So
we could not have that water?
Well, some of that was stream quality water back in the old days, and that's the reason we have farmland on the east side of the city, and it irrigated that. And that water, that's kind of hit its max, if you will. The long-term plan, and if y'all remember, we've talked about a very elaborate, expensive, it's actually $98 million facility on the northwest side of the city. Outside Clovis Road and Slide Road is a new, about a year-old facility that takes stormwater, and we recapture stormwater, goes there. There was a drainage project on Quaker from Maxey Park that we end up moving water that direction, and then we can take that water and move it out. It is a very intricate system, to your point, and to Lake Allen Henry, we're not using it full capacity.
Well, about 30% of our supply comes from Allen Henry.
Yes, and it only supplies the south part of the city.
Right.
Because the plumbing, once you get that water here from Lake Allen Henry, y'all, it doesn't make it to like where I live, off
right.
19th and Quaker.
Jeff,
it right here at the studio, we're probably drinking
Allen Henry water.
Allen Henry water. Speaking of that lake water,
but we've had a phenomenal growth in Lubbock that was not anticipated, I don't think. And I wonder what this has done to our long-term projections of future water needs.
That's the reason we came out. Thanks for bringing it up. That's the reason we just came out just a few months ago with the latest version of our 100-year water plan. And notice I said 100-year water plan. Doesn't mean we have 100 years of water. That plan is always moving, because what if you did have a 5-year drought? But that's the reason we're so blessed to have Lake Allen Henry, Bailey County well fields we've had since the 50s. We still use Lake Meredith, and then, of course, northeast of Lake Meredith in Roberts County, we own a huge amount of water that is the deepest, bluest part of the Ogallala Aquifer. That was, you might have remembered, that was the Boone Pickens water.
Yeah.
That the city
but
bought
right
years
now,
ago.
it's just sitting there. We're not using it.
We use some of it. But in the summer months, and you brought up the heat factor just a minute ago, Dave. In the summer months, you want to use as much lake water as possible because of the evaporation factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to ask you about the facade grant, how that works, and then I think you gave away 3 facade grants during this city council meeting. We'll talk about that as well.
And we are back here at 7:47 a.m. on KFYO Mornings with Dave and Matt. It's 59 degrees outside. A high today's forecast to be 86. And we have Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith in our studio this morning telling us everything about the city of Lubbock. We're talking about water. Are we through talking about water, or is there more to say? Because we live in a desert, and water is kind of important to us.
It is.
You talking about a 5-year drought a while ago? That could be catastrophic.
We've already had a 5-year drought.
We've been so blessed the way these rains have come, saturated. I mean, it's been the Lord has blessed us very well this past month. It's been incredible. But I will tell you, you never know. So that's the reason these plans are so important to us, to make sure that we have water in the future. And by the way, I'm still thinking about the Brahms ice cream.
You're hungry, huh?
I can't believe y'all brought up ice cream this early.
Hey, so we want to bring up the facade grant. Y'all gave away, I think, 3 of them, and tell us a little bit about the facade grant, how that works. I think it's like 50% up to so much money.
Matt, it's the bottom line with the LEDA's Market Lubbock's facade grant is for downtown businesses to take advantage of redoing of old businesses, old offices, and making them improving our downtown, period. And
I'm for that, by the way.
Thank you. It is every great city has a great downtown.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that Lubbock, we're still working on. There's no doubt about it. But these grants are to help small business or big business, for that matter. Anyone can apply that in downtown. That it's $25,000 is the max for the exterior of a building. So you spend at least double that, you're going to get up to 20. You can get $25,000 back. It does get approved by LEDA Market Lubbock's board of directors before it comes to us at City Council. So you've got 2 panels that approve it. I don't know of one that's been turned down, quite frankly. And there's been, I'm ballparking y'all, but I would say there's probably been 25 of these.
I think it's 29 according to KCBD.
Okay. Thank you.
So as far as these grants are concerned, LEDA is Lubbock Economic Development Association, right? Or
Yes.
Okay. So why are these grants not available to all of Lubbock and only available to downtown?
Because their initiative was redevelopment of downtown. And I have a business that, I need, I could sure use those dollars even if I couldn't apply anyway.
In fact, you're on
50th Street.
And 50th could use a lot of work up and down 50th
34th. Street. There's a bunch of businesses that need updating. However, this was designed for downtown.
Just this specific grant.
These grants are
not
for downtown
LEDA,
Lubbock.
but the specific grant.
LEDA.
So
LEDA's grant system, this plan is for downtown redevelopment.
So there's no dollars of LEDA that go outside of downtown.
Oh, well, for other initiatives,
Are there other grants that people outside of downtown can get? I guess that's
they have other ways of funding. Monsanto, the Bayer Crop Science group, that facility, LEDA was involved heavily on making that possible. It's a $155 million cottonseed production plant on North I-27. And that LEDA's involved in that. LEDA's involved in a lot of places with other forms of economic help. But in this downtown redevelopment grant system is the $25,000 exterior or $75,000 interior.
So y'all have money that's going to what you call the master developer. I believe it's McDougall.
Yes.
Why aren't they the ones doing the work on the exteriors of places? I mean, what is it that they do exactly?
There's two things. Please understand that, and the McDougall Company's contract was just redone.
Yeah.
That is from the downtown TIF, Tax Increment Financing District.
Right.
So that's a different board that hires the McDougall companies as the master redeveloper. They work hand in hand.
But I mean, it's still city money.
It is tax money, just like LEDA is tax money.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I guess my question is, if you are in Southwest Lubbock, and I know that there's a lot of redevelopment, or even up and down 50th Street, 34th Street, which needs a lot of help, is there money for those people?
At this time, no, unless it's job creation.
Okay.
So if it's job creation, yes.
Well, listen, we got to run. We were up against the clock, and Councilman, we appreciate you being here this morning and bringing us up to speed. Thanks for coming in.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
All right, bud. We'll take a quick break, and we will be back in a moment.